You're 17. It started in a driveway, juggling a size 4 ball in a pair of cleats your mom bought for $60. The ball rolls clean between an older kid's feet out the other side. A nutmeg your first. A decade later, a club pays $263 million to sign a footballer. That's the biggest transfer fee in the history of the sport. Between those two moments sits a filter that lets 0.012% of registered kids reach the top flight. Everyone sees the transfer, almost nobody sees the 97% who get cut on the way up. This is every level of a footballer's career and what it actually costs to climb. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1. The backyard. Nobody pays you to play. You're a cost. Cleats, $60. Shin guards, a size 4 ball, a bag of cones for the driveway. You juggle before school. And you kick against the garage wall until the paint chips. Saturday mornings. Your parents sign you up for the rec league. You get your first kit, a number ironed onto the back. You play on a frosted pitch while your dad stands on the touchline in the cold. Studs on frosty grass. The cleats cost $60. A season at a competitive club runs $1,000 to over $10,000 a year. Most families never make that jump. Yours does. What you learn here is your first touch, and that you'd rather do this than anything else. You nutmeg the biggest kid on the pitch, and the rec coach clocks it. By the next Saturday, he knows your name. You mishit a pass straight into a puddle, and the coach shows you how to strike through the ball. The next one skims flat and true. Then it's quiet again. Marcus Rashford started at a club called Fletcher Moss Rangers, at 5, as a goalkeeper. You stop asking to go to the park. You're already there before anyone asks. The drills you run alone in the driveway, cone weaves, wall passes, a size 4 ball pinned under your foot in the dark, are the reps nobody schedules and nobody sees. Then, at a rec game, a man on the touchline you don't recognize writes something in a notebook. He asks your parents for a phone number. Level 2 is the trial. Level 2. The trial and the signing. You still don't get paid. Under 12 to under 16 academy players are amateurs. 0 salary. Trial day starts with a line of kids and their parents in a car park. You arrive, register, hand over your ID, and pull on a numbered bib. A coach briefs you, and you warm up juggling in a circle. You run the sprint test through the timing gates. You strap a GPS vest between your shoulder blades. It tracks every meter you cover. Then the rondo, a 5 versus 2 in a grid of cones. Keep the ball, don't get caught. You lose it once, the coach stops the drill, resets you, and you don't lose it again. Technical stations, then a small-sided game. You beat your man on the sprint gates, and the coach writes your number down. Then the wait, and you wait. The University of Essex found that none of the players who turned professional were born in the last quarter of the year. 44% were born in January, February, or March. The system has a birthday, and it isn't yours unless you're lucky. Under the Elite Player Performance Plan, introduced in 2012, every academy in the country is independently audited and graded from Category 1 to 4. You start learning the drive to the training ground. You stop needing the sat-nav. Then the phone rings. It's the academy. There's a place for you. You sign the academy forms at a kitchen table, and your mom takes a photo. At 16, that place turns into a job. Level 3 is the scholarship. Level 3. The scholarship. At 16, you sign a 2-year scholarship. It pays about $190 to $510 a week, depending on the club. You get in before the first-teamers, hours before the building is properly awake. You lay out their kit and clean their boots in the boot room, kit for men twice your age. Boot brushes, dubbin, wet leather, a smell that never quite leaves your hands. You carry the kit skips out to the pitch and set out the cones in the cold morning air. Gym, then a double session, then the ice bath, until you can't feel your legs, until your whole body goes quiet. Afternoons, you're in a classroom doing a BTEC because the club insists football alone isn't a plan. You review clips on the analysis software, breaking down your own mistakes frame by frame, and the minibus takes you to away youth games, hours each way with homework balanced on your knees. What you learn here isn't football. It's how to be a professional, on time, every single day. This is also where most of you disappear, quietly, without a headline. The I-paper pulled the Premier League's own database, cross-checking thousands of academy files. Of more than 4,000 top-category academy players, 97% never played a single Premier League minute. Most never got a professional contract at all, at any club, at any level. Teesside University tracked 91 released players aged 15 to 18, following what happened after the news. 3 weeks after the news, 55% were at clinical levels of distress. Getting cut here doesn't just end a career. It lands like grief, sudden and total. So you clean the boots better than anyone, because that's the only thing fully in your control. You turn up late once, and the kit man makes you do the whole first team's boots alone for a week. You're never late again, not once. Not for anything. Then the club posts the retained list, pinned to a corkboard outside the office, and your name isn't on it. The air goes out of the room. You wait outside the office for the meeting that decides everything, the longest 10 minutes of your life. Dimitri Mitchell joined Manchester United at 10 and got released. He rebuilt through a trial at Blackpool and reached a Wembley playoff final years later. He told ESPN the news still hits you hard, even now. You go into the meeting expecting the same news. The same quiet ending. The coach slides a professional contract across the desk instead. You sign your name and your hand isn't steady. You track back on a lost cause in a youth game and win the ball. Low and unglamorous. And the next week, the coach names you captain. You stop packing your school books. The boot brush lives in your bag now, permanently, next to your own boots. The boot room smells of dubbin, wet leather and plunge pool chlorine, and right now it's the only room in the building that matters to you. You're a professional footballer now. Nobody outside this building has heard your name. Level 4 is the lower leagues. Level 4. The lower leagues. You're a young pro now, on about $380 a week. You play League 2 football under the floodlights, in front of a few thousand people on a cold night. The stands are half empty, but the lights are on, and the game still counts the same. On Mondays, you're on the treatment table with the physio, icing whatever the weekend left behind, strapping the ankle that took the worst of it. Team meeting first, and you watch the opposition on the analysis software while the analyst walks you through their shape, clip by clip, phase by phase. Then it's the coach to an away ground, hours down the motorway, the matchday program laid out on every seat, the warm-up under the same cold lights, and then 90 minutes that decide the week. At Solihull Moors, the analyst Megan Reesby says the video software gives players instant access, so they can review clips and make adjustments before the next session even starts. This is football as a job now, not a dream you're chasing. Jamie Vardy earned about $60 a week at non-league Stocksbridge Park Steels, working a factory shift around training, sanding parts on a night shift, before he ever wore a League 2 shirt. 5 years later, Leicester paid him about $12,600 a week, and he went on to win the Premier League. Josh March turned pro at 22 through non-league football, grinding weekend games for years, and he's now a forward at Harrogate Town. He called it quite a long journey, and he meant it. Since 2021, any overseas player a club signs needs a work permit worth 15 points, scored against senior appearances and league quality, before a visa is even considered. You score a scrappy goal under the floodlights, half volley, ugly, in off the far post, and a championship scout files a report on you that same week. Within days, your phone starts ringing. Numbers you don't recognize, agents you've never met, all wanting 5 minutes of your time. You go down awkwardly in a tackle and land back on the treatment table, and the physio has you strapped, iced, and back out for the weekend. You stop checking the release list every May. You just assume you'll be renewed now, and you usually are. The season becomes minibuses down motorways, liniment in cold changing rooms, 90 minutes at a time on a real contract, watched by real scouts with real notebooks in the stands. Then it goes quiet again for a while, the phone's still, the notebook's gone. Then a Premier League club sends a scout of its own to watch you play. Level 5 is the top flight and the Champions League beyond it. Level 5. The top flight and the Champions League. This is the tier the entire pyramid was built to feed. The average top flight player makes about $76,000 a week. That is the floor here, not the ceiling. Erling Haaland makes about $460,000. He is the outlier the whole league is measured against. Manchester City triggered his release clause for $63 million, and the fee barely made the back pages. A Champions League night doesn't start at the stadium. It starts at the team hotel, in a quiet room, with a folder of notes on the man you'll mark. a tactical walkthrough on a whiteboard, then a pre-match meal weighed to the gram. Then the team coach pulls out behind a police escort, and the streets are lined the whole way. You step into the tunnel and the noise hits like a wall. You line up for the anthem, 60,000 people stacked above you. Camera flashes crawl across the badge on your chest. The anthem plays. You strap the GPS vest between your shoulder blades, and it logs every sprint and every meter you cover. The boots are sleek and modern, laced tight and taped at the ankle. You mistime a press in the first half, the gap opens behind you, and they score into it. You walk back with your head down. At halftime, the coach doesn't shout. He shows you the freeze frame, the exact angle you got wrong, and sends you back out. In the second half, you close the same lane, win the ball, and slide the pass that becomes the equalizer. Then, on your Champions League debut, the ball drops at the back post, and you score. The whole bench empties onto the pitch and buries you. After the final whistle, it's the cryotherapy chamber, and then a debrief off the numbers. The money at this level isn't a wage anymore. In 2025, Paris Saint-Germain won the Champions League and topped the payout table at $168 million. It isn't a salary, it's an economy. And the strangest part is the noise. You stop hearing the 60,000. The roar is just weather now. The turf is the same turf you learned on. The anthem and the flashbulbs used to feel like an event. Now they feel like a Tuesday, because you've done it 40 times. You are, by any measure anyone uses, one of the best in the world. And there's one level almost nobody reaches. Level 6. The Ballon d'Or legend. Level 6. The Ballon d'Or legend. On August 3, 2017, Neymar moved from Barcelona to Paris Saint-Germain for $263 million. It's still the record. The wages come in around $653,000 a week. A move like this runs on a script. The release clause is triggered, you pass the medical, you sign the contract. They hand you a number 10 shirt on a stage, and 40,000 people say your name. Flashbulbs. A stadium roar. Cristiano Ronaldo's peak year ran to about $285 million on and off the pitch. Lionel Messi has won 8 Ballon d'Or awards, a record. Rodri won it in 2024. Your days are medicals, signings, unveilings, endorsement shoots, and awards galas. You trigger the release clause and pass the medical, and by the afternoon you're unveiled on the pitch. You win the Ballon d'Or, and every graphic in the sport carries your face. The trophy is heavier than it looks. You stop reading the transfer graphics. They're about you now. The medical, the signing, the shirt over your head in front of 40,000. It takes an afternoon, and it rewrites your life. This is the view from the very top. And it started $60 at a time. Here's what the climb actually was. $60 of cleats in a driveway, outgrown in a season. A numbered bib at a trial. And a phone call that came for you and not for the kid next to you. A boot room, an ice bath, a retained list with your name almost left off it. Cold floodlit nights and a scrappy goal that a scout happened to see. An anthem, a debut, a trophy. The career is short. About 8 to 10 years, most of the money packed into 5 or 6. But you were one of the 0.012% who got to have it at all. And you spent every one of those years doing the thing you did in the driveway for free. The cleats your mom bought for $60 are long gone. The boots on your feet now carry your name, stitched by the company that pays to put it there. You don't buy your boots anymore. They send them. Somewhere there's a 5-year-old in a driveway in a $60 pair of cleats, juggling a size 4 ball. 97% of them won't make it. That kid isn't thinking about the 97%. He's thinking about the top corner of a net he strung himself. So were you once. Now the ball comes down out of the floodlights. The first touch you built alone against a garage wall is the one that kills a pass, dead in front of 60,000 people. You don't think about it anymore. You just play. The ball drops. Your first touch kills it dead, and the crowd is already on its feet.